Come here now, girl.
Hello map makers, and map making is back. Well, we've done the little lighthouse island. We've still got all of the main island to do. The little island's connecting us up, but we're going to start today on the lake island. And over here we've got my little palette of foliage and trees. Got one or two missing, one or two minor problems there. Also, a few of you have commented on how dark things look. And yeah, I think there is an asset conflict, which is a bit of a concern and a worry. I actually restarted the editor a number of times with the assets in the loading screen mod activated and not activated, and used only, and all that kind of malarkey. One occasion they did actually load up with a brighter screen, and I don't know what the difference was. I haven't quite worked it out. There's something somewhere causing the whole screen to be just a little bit darker, but we can still see what we're doing, and that's what matters. Unfortunately, you're not going to get the full Technicolor version of the map until I can get the brightness fixed once and for all. Now, yes, I am cheating with the Move It mod using the copy function, and I'll tell you what's going on with today's episode. There's a good idea. Oh, by the way, I'm BonBonB, and you are very, very welcome. Right. For those of you that insist that I say it, I've said it now. Right, so today's episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down a lot of coverage around the lake area of this particular island. Now, I know a lot of you are a bit concerned about the level of detailing that's going in. Don't worry, only feature areas are going to be highly detailed, and this is going to have a lot of work done to it, this area. So what I'm doing at the moment is just ground coverage, getting whole areas just blitzed, and then once again go back later on and go, right, okay, yeah, I covered the area, but this looks a bit, because the problem with using the Move It mod's copy function is it can look a little bit well, repetitive and repetitive, seeing the same pattern of trees over and over again. Now, I've got a little technique you'll see at the end of today's episode which helps to relieve some of that order and put in a little bit of disorder, and yeah, but that's for a little bit later on. But I will still be coming back and looking at areas and going, do you know what, it just looks a bit patchy, or looks a little bit routine, and we'll do a little bit of tweaking, whatever. But the best thing to do is, like with anything, if you're painting a painting, splash down some paint. Don't worry about the fine detailing in the painting first of all. Like, if you just do the whole thing in blue, you know, Bob Ross, just get some blue paint on the palette and just slap it down. Don't worry about the detail. Well, we'll get to the detail later. So yes, at the moment what I'm doing is I'm slapping down that blue paint, except for I'm removing it. I'm going to put it back down again. Yes, so this is the new foliage that's come with the Park Life DLC. It's like a ground foliage. There's different thicknesses and whatever, and I've started off by putting a very deep coverage around the outside of the lake, and this is a slightly thinner, lighter coverage as I'm pulling back from the water here. So see what I'm doing there? I'm pulling back from the water, it's not quite so thick and dense, and then we'll do a slightly less dense coverage a little bit further back from the water yet again. Right, so anyways, it's great to be back with map making. I missed last week's show. I really missed doing it. Last week was an incredibly busy week for me. As you probably know, I am self-employed, work 6 days a week doing that. So we're talking probably about 50 hours a week normally. Unfortunately, every now and then, I say unfortunately for this series, every now and then I have to make wholesaler trips, and the only day I can do that is the one day that I'm not trading, which is a Sunday. Sunday also coincides with being my main recording day for YouTube. Although I record virtually every single day, I do something. Sundays is the day that I sit down and go, do you know what, I can put a few hours uninterrupted here. And then, of course, wholesaler trip, I lose my entire day, which meant that I was using the week before putting in all the hours into the evenings, an extra hour or 2 hours every single evening, trying to get up and ahead so that maybe I'd have time to actually get. Anyway, long story short, it was a real struggle, and I wasn't able to get map making done for last week. Because the big difference between this and although it takes much less time to actually record a map making episode than a what map, map making probably, well, we're talking about half an hour of build and then, or maybe half an hour tops of editing and voice recording, so an hour for the whole thing. What map can take, well, a big what map can take 4 hours, a standard one 2.5 to 3 hours, so it takes less time, but it's creative, and I've got to spend a lot of time thinking, planning how them, and then of course that then becomes 3 hours again, so it's technically a quicker episode, but you're having to literally give some consideration as to what's the next thing to do. And actually with this one, there are a couple of things I tried to do. First of all, I wanted to see if the procedural object map mod would work within the map editor. It doesn't seem to, so that's a little plan that's gone out of the window, so I'm back to we're going with plan A. And I had a particular idea for a bridge that I wanted to use. Unfortunately, the bridge only works for rail, and I was tweaking it, seeing if I could get the catenary replacers to remove the catenaries and put a road down over the rail. That wasn't working in the map editor either. So once again, I don't want to do this as a save game. I want to do this actually as a map edit. So I'm just going to have to go and find another bridge similar to what I had in mind, only more suited to having roads on it, of course. Anyway, now we're working on a little bit of forestry. Now you're going to see once again plopping down these as a mass on group, and there will be patterns. Oh, once again, it's a bit dark, and I'm sorry, can't quite make out what is going on in full detail here, and it's very annoying. It's annoying for me as well, because I can't actually see it when I'm placing it either. So it's just hopefully going to work itself out in the end. So yeah, we'll flesh out a little bit of forestry here, and then use the Move It mod to copy larger chunks, get some big coverage going, and we'll tidy up the patterns a little bit later on as well. So yes, so the plan with the map so far, we got the one island done, the essential lighthouse island. That's pretty much finished. It will need a little bit tweaking once I start playing with the tide levels. I want to see how that looks when the tide is out as well as in. But for the standard vanilla game, I'm quite happy with that. Might tweak the rocks a little bit here and there, but generally, yeah, all good. The main island for the map, the main build plane, I've started working on the hill, or we'll call it a mountain. Started working on that and putting some rocks down on there, and once again the rocks will need going back and tidying up, touching up, and basically just making it look less repetitive again, using the same asset over and over again. It will look a little bit like that. There's a few, I know a few of you have commented on I'm putting plants underneath rocks, and will people be using anarchy or not using anarchy. Yeah, there's something I do need to, once I go into the testing and having a look and seeing what disappears and what appears, some of these things may need to be removed, some of them might need to be left in. There might be an instruction to have anarchy set for the map. I don't know, I'm not saying there will be, I'm just saying these are things that I will need to look into. For now, I'm just looking to get some coverage down on the map so that it just looks like it's coming together. Like with anything, the more something comes together, the more you feel empowered and something's actually happening. Once again, it's like doing the painting. Yeah, you're looking at a big blank canvas and it's scary. You put down a splash of blue across the top, that's sky. You put a splash of green along the bottom, that's ground, and suddenly you're going, ooh, I'm starting to feel this now. And that's the case with this particular map. There's still huge areas where there's nothing going on, and it's one of those things that I'm going to have to put down some areas, and I might actually take some areas and go, do you know what, I don't really like what I've done there, and remove the whole area. It's possible, But until you actually get stuck in and put something down, well, nothing comes together at all, does it? Right, now, for those of you that are in the BonBonB Elite, that's those people that watch anything beyond the tutorials and what map videos, you know who you are, I've got a new series starting this week, a brand new city builder let's play series. It's definitely not what map. It's not Cities Skylines though. It's a game that I first saw advertised, sort of like what is it called? Teased is a good word, about a year ago, and I put it on my wish list of things to have a go at. Now, it's still in development. It will be in development for quite some time, I imagine, because it is a sole developer, i.e. one guy, one computer, I'm assuming there's one computer, and slowly but surely bringing the game into fruition. And do you know what? It looks bloody wonderful. It really does. Right, the game is called Ostriv. It's based, it's about 200 years ago, I guess. I think it's set in modern day Ukraine, or certainly Central Europe somewhere. And yeah, it's kind of like I would say medieval, isn't it's not quite medieval, it's not that far back, but like I say, a couple of hundred years ago, Central Europe, fishing village, farming, all that sort of stuff, all the sort of stuff that is Cities Skylines-y, but without being Cities Skylines. And I'll tell you what, the visuals and the graphics in that game, considering it's a one-man show as well, I mean, even if it was a multi-man team, I'll tell you what, if this was a small team, you'd still be looking and going, do you know what, that's really good graphics. This is one guy. Now, I don't know how well the game plays yet. I've watched a little bit of the Let's Play from a couple of other YouTubers, and it seems fleshed out enough to be certainly done as a test Let's Play, and just to trial this thing out, see how it goes. I bought the full version. Here I am, sort of putting some stones down. Yeah, felt that it could do a couple of rocks here and there, just the small ones here. Yeah, so that's the plan. Mondays and Saturdays to have a go at Ostriv, and just to see how it goes. I played for about 5 minutes so far, just to see the controls and make sure that my mouse works with it and all that sort of stuff. And everything seems to work fine. So yeah, that's one for Wednesday. So do come back Wednesday 6 PM because Ostriv. And I want to play it, and I want you to join me. Right, okay, one last thing to do here, which was, let's say, just tidying up the stones. Now, I talked about removing the repetition in the trees, and one way that I have of doing that is to get out the bulldoze a tree, and just quickly skim over the entire area with the bulldozer, just left-clicked down. And that will remove a limited number of random trees, basically. It won't take out full lines of them, it just cleans up a few areas here and there. I did this in Merrickstowe, and it worked quite nicely for Merrickstowe. And I'm sure I'll have to come back and do some more work here. Right, so that's pretty much about it for today's episode. I removed the rock and put back some foliage. I managed to delete as well. There we are. Right, so that's it. That's today's half-hour of build. So we're near about 3.5 hours into the build now, and slowly coming together. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. Join me tomorrow for What's Map. This time next week for more map making. Wednesday and Saturday for Ostriv, and everything else I do. The chart show. Don't forget the chart show. Thanks for watching. See you very, very soon.